Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. There's a headline on your screen right now indicating that XRP, along with Bitcoin, stealing the spotlight. And it's there's a number of ways that you can look at this, but I'll just tell you this at the outset of the video. In a general sense, it certainly seems to be that expectations surrounding XRP, frankly, the highest they've been in years. And you could go back, fine, like you go back a couple years ago when we were in complete euphoria, and XRP made it as high as $2. Now, without the SEC nonsense, I do believe we went ahead a new all-time high. That's my very strong suspicion, because XRP is the only top 10 crypto that didn't hit a new all-time high compared to the previous cycle. But setting that aside, it's very clear right now that there is a lot of interest, including on an institutional level. I still think that a lot of the market activity we've had, and I say yay to this, honestly, I'm happy for this, has to do with the expectation of not just a conclusion regarding that case, but the positive conclusion. But even outside of that, if just for analysts looking at the charts, it's not just about the SEC v. Ripple case. Analysts looking at the charts are anticipating good things for XRP. So I want to talk about that. Oh, and also, this was very good news. Hopefully some of you, if you're any of the individuals that had your XRP held by Coinbase during the Flare snapshot back at the end of 2020, hopefully you already heard the good news, but if not, then let me add a little sunshine to your day. Coinbase did today begin distributing Flare tokens. So I don't know if they've completed it to this point, but they've started, they stated that they started today, and even better, well, maybe not even better, but also good. What's most important is it gets in your hands, but almost as good, is the fact that Flare is going to be trading on Coinbase. So I'm going to be looking to see what happens. I'm very curious because we've only had one Flare drop after the initial airdrop. A Flare drop is different than an airdrop. And I'm just very curious for the second Flare drop to see, are we actually going to see, as some people anticipate, a dramatic reduction in price because there's more supply now available, this and that? I'm actually kind of skeptical of that. But anyway, before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, for most of the last 24 hours, Bitcoin has been above $30,000. Currently is at the moment that I'm recording this, but, give it 5 seconds, we'll see. XRP's sitting just a hair shy of 51 cents. And here you have the 24-hour high for Bitcoin. I wanted to mention this. So it did get as high as $30,456. So the bears that were calling for $12,000 Bitcoin back when it was closer to 15,000, especially this past November, you didn't get it, you're not going to get it. The only caveat, which I will always maintain, is if there's a black swan event, fine. But if you're just looking at your technical analysis, at this point, isn't it time to throw in the towel? Don't you just think? But we did have a reduction in price action that started, and Bitcoin led this, but you can see it started, I think it was it's called about 8:35 p.m. Central Standard Time, just because that's the time zone that I'm in. You can see where I'm circling right here. This is a 24-hour chart. Bitcoin price just plummeted. I say plummeted. It's still above $30,000, all right? But Bitcoin, or XRP rather, did the same thing at 8:35 p.m. It just followed what Bitcoin was doing. Markets continue to move in tandem, so that shouldn't be surprising. And XRP was as high as almost 53 cents within the last 24 hours. So similar price action on that front. You still have the market cap for the asset class 1.24 trillion, and Bitcoin dominance at 46.67%. Crypto Fear and Greed Index 65 out of 100. So people feeling pretty damn good out there. And then in terms of expectations for XRP price surging in the short term to the upside, well, here's a headline from the Crypto Basic. Top analyst claims 47% surge coming for XRP. And I'm not going to read the article, I'll just make the broader point. They covered analysis from an analyst who, admittedly, I actually wasn't particularly familiar with. My understanding is, although he's covering XRP here, that he just covers crypto in general, so maybe he does or doesn't consider himself a member of the XRP community. But he wrote the following here. This is Ali Martinez, I believe is the name. XRP may be on the brink of a 47% surge if it secures a 3-day candlestick above 54 cents. A successful breakout could catapult XRP to 80 cents. Now, part of the reason I wanted to highlight this, even though, like I said, admittedly wasn't familiar with this particular analyst, is because I've seen from multiple analysts similar expectations And they could vary a bit in terms of, what type of close do we need to see above what exact price point to get that type of surge. But I do keep seeing all sorts of analysts say, whether it's 52 cents or 53 cents or 54 cents, if you get that close and if it holds and if you turn what was resistance into support, well, that is going to catapult XRP up to a next level. And in this case, this particular analyst is saying that would probably be about 80 cents. Here's just one more example. There's an article from the Daily Hodl covering a perspective from chart analyst Michael Vandepop, who, by the way, doesn't even like XRP because reasons, of course. But I think he's being a bit more intellectually honest than he used to, because people kind of, and rightfully so, kind of razzed him a bit because he had these completely ridiculous, predictions for XRP price action after the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit dropped over 2 years ago. And I don't think he even believed what he was saying, but he just doesn't like XRP so much. But after that not going so well for him, when XRP then catapulted from whatever it was, 17 cents after the lawsuit to, $2, I didn't see him make any predictions along those lines after that anyway. That's kind of curious. Might that not have gone well for him? But anyway, so I do think he's being intellectually honest here. And nothing crazy, but he was also just pointing out that, if XRP takes out resistance, which he says is 53 cents, so it's pretty similar to what the other analyst there said. If you turn that resistance of 53 cents into support, it's just another analyst that anticipates you're going to see a pretty big move to the upside. It's certainly possible, just another impulse. So we'll see. And in the meantime, it's against the backdrop of institutional money flowing into XRP, despite the fact that 2 years ago we were told that XRP was supposed to be dead. It would be out of the top 10. Many people saying that it would be worth $0.00 at this particular point. And those predictions aged like a fine milk. Oh, yes, the finest of milk. But here's a headline from you today. XRP and Bitcoin steal spotlight. Traditional investors bet on crypto giants. And look, it's another one of those things where it's like XRP, stealing the spotlight. No surprise here. Some of the highest expectations I've seen from XRP in a couple years, and I think that makes sense. It's becoming increasingly clear, even to people that were previously hating on it, XRP is not going to cease to exist. It is not going away so long as it continues to be useful. And it is. That's why there are people out there, I consider myself among those people, who are so damn persistent with this thing. I think it's going to be worth an absolute fortune in the future, and I'm just going to see this thing through. And I always acknowledge, I don't know for sure, and I could be wrong, and I lose everything, and it goes to zero, and then I just cry myself to sleep every night. Such would be life. But I firmly do not believe that is the most probable outcome here. But so anyway, in this article, they're noting that there's some major inflows, including into Bitcoin, and admittedly, most of it in this, because it's reported by CoinShares, they're reporting over the last week, their weekly reports, and their inflows of $57 million into digital assets. And most of that went into Bitcoin, admittedly. But, little asterisk here, in recent weeks, there were major outflows. In fact, if memory serves, and I think it does, I remember seeing for 1 week there are outflows of I'm pretty sure it was $17 million. And at the same time, XRP was up for that week, I think $300,000. So not that it was a crazy amount for XRP, but on that week, XRP up any amount while Bitcoin's down $17 million. Yes, please, I'll take two. So in this case, XRP for the week up $200,000. But again, XRP was supposed to go to zero. Didn't happen, and here we have institutional money flowing in. Just saying, I enjoy seeing that. And then there's this headline, because where are things going? And this is always a fun, this will never stop to be a fun conversation. Just people sharing perspective on what they think is most probable in terms of when the next big move happens for crypto in general, since the asset class in a general sense certainly does still, it just continues to move in tandem. Well, here's a headline from the Daily Hodl. Bitcoin about to run to all-time highs quicker than everyone expects, says popular analyst. Here's his timeline. And they're talking about none other than Credible Crypto. Now, I really enjoy Credible Crypto's perspective on things. And he has put his neck on the line because he is one of the only analysts out there. I think he's the only analyst that I regularly follow that stated that he does believe this year we're going to see a new all-time high for Bitcoin. He's the only one. Now, sometimes minority positions do pan out. Case in point, when Blockchain Backer in 2021 called the high for Bitcoin, he said, hey guys, folks, just here are the metrics, here's the reasons why the high is in for Bitcoin. And then you had some very well-known analysts come out, and they were just like, so, not all of them, but so many of them were outright rude to him. And it just, the mockery was ridiculous. But the reason that I'm even mentioning this is just to point out, he is the only analyst that I can think of off the top of my head that said, no, the top's it. And he said it with conviction, and he was correct. Everybody else was wrong. In terms of, because how many other analysts at that point in time said, no, Bitcoin's going to go above $100,000, which it did not. And so Credible Crypto, he's been calling for a longer market cycle. So it's not that he is outright wrong, because he wasn't, I don't recall anyway him saying a specific time like it's going to do so and so. He's been calling this an extended cycle. He's called it that many times in the past. And so the fact that, within the last couple of years, we didn't see Bitcoin go to $100,000, he says, no, this is just part of a bigger impulse. So he's got his own unique take, which is resulting in him being one of the only analysts out there that says this year Bitcoin's going to be hitting a new all-time high, and his expectation is above $100,000. So, again, sometimes the minority viewpoint is right. Such was the case a couple years ago with the blockchain backer, and credit where it's due. And I don't mind seeing analysts disagree with one another. I just want to see them make their cases, and I'm happy to read that. I like hearing other people's perspectives. I just don't like it when people get rude about it, that's all. So anyway, here's the perspective on this, and I hope that he's right. I mean, we're all going to hope that he's right about this, right? A closely followed analyst says that Bitcoin is about to make a run for all-time highs a lot sooner than anyone realizes. While most in the crypto space are expecting a lengthy period of consolidation before the next bull run, pseudonymous analyst Credible Crypto tells his 450... That's wrong. He has, they wrote the commas in the wrong spot at a minimum, but I'm about 100% sure he's got 300, or maybe they meant to write YouTube, I don't know, and they have the comma in the wrong spot. But in the next paragraph, actually, they say it here, 339,000 Twitter followers. And so anyway, the analyst shares the two scenarios on a chart, one which he says the majority of market participants expect, and one which he says is more likely to happen. He says traders are likely putting too much emphasis on the Bitcoin halving, which is slated for April of next year and has historically coincided with Bitcoin market cycles. According to him, the price of Bitcoin is set to front-run the halving cycle this time around. And he said, quote, "It is almost universally agreed upon on crypto Twitter that this rally will end in the 30,000s to 40,000s, talking about Bitcoin, of course, and give everyone 6+ months to accumulate before we head for new all-time high in 2024 to 2025, the halving cycle theory. The collapse from $30,000 was triggered by an unprecedented wave of black swan events that caused mass liquidations and panic selling. I seriously doubt that once we reclaim these levels, we are just going to hang around and let everyone who panic sold comfortably take their time and reload for the ride to $70,000+. That's just not how these things work," end quote. So he's got strong conviction on this, and we're all gonna find out together what happens, aren't we? Because we're just gonna let time pass. I'm gonna sit here and just watch from the sidelines, because my whole strategy in crypto is to literally do nothing. I just enjoy following what's going on. It's a lot of fun. But it's more fun when you got skin in the game. We all know that. Like, if you've got real money invested in crypto, that's why it's fun to follow every single day what the hell's happening here. So I'm gonna be patient as always and happy to wait on the sideline. Hope he's right. But if not, the cool thing is, my perspective is almost literally, no matter what, at some unknown point in the future, there will be another massive run, and I'm going to be here for it because I am patient AF. And then there's this. So, as I cited at the outset of the video, good news for all of you who are counting on Coinbase to give you your Flare tokens. They've apparently started doing so. I don't know if they've finished this yet, but I was very happy to see that. And they put out this thread. I don't really need to read the whole thread. They just noted, it's on your screen here if you want to read some of this. I don't think it's necessary to go through all of it, but they're just indicating, the distribution process is starting today. And then the tweet right after that, they noted, quote, "Trading is expected to begin if and when liquidity conditions are met and after our airdrop distribution is complete." Yeah, I will say this. If they mean what they're saying there, and I actually believe that they do, trading is at some point going to start on Coinbase. I don't know if you guys realize this, but Flare, even though the Flare token's only been around since January, did you know that it's already in the top 100 cryptos by market cap? It's kind of been floating around like a week and a half ago. I think I saw it maybe around like 88 market cap, and then I checked the other day and it was a little higher. I don't know if it was like 90 or 92. But again, it's existed for 3 months out in the open. 3 months. That is freaking incredible. And that's because Flare is the largest airdrop in history outside of any airdrop that would have occurred as a result of a fork, like, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and that whole thing. But if you're talking about just, hey, here's a new token just getting airdrop, it's just unprecedented support. 100 crypto exchanges from the start. Whew. And so that's why, and I mentioned this once or twice publicly on the channel, but it was, I can't remember exactly when, maybe it might have been around March 20th, I can't remember. But I made one of my largest individual cryptocurrency purchases in history when the Flare token was around 3 cents. And I acknowledge that this is also probably the riskiest purchase that I've ever made when it comes to crypto. And that's saying something because it's crypto and it's volatile, right? And some stuff does go to zero and there are rug pulls and this and that. And Flare's brand new, which I find to be notable. I think that's a very important factor. I think it makes it a lot more risky. It's just not proven. And will anybody build anything that will last on top of it? I hope so. I think that's possible. I just don't know for sure, which is why, those are some of the reasons I think it's the most risky move I've ever made. And I could end up regretting it, but it's like, I'm not going to cry to sleep over if that happens. Because I just think, my overall crypto experience is going to be so positive that even though there are going to be some negative things that unfold as a result of my own actions along the way, okay, I can live with that. It's fine. It's not going to put me in the poorhouse, but it was a lot of money for one part. It was one of the biggest individual purchases I've ever made. So for me, that's very meaningful. But anyway, the reason that I'm even sharing this is because I don't know what's going to happen. And in terms of price action, like even the blockchain backer, he's like, I don't see how this thing couldn't go down 90%. And I value his perspective. And I'm paraphrasing. It was something to that effect, but not to put words in his mouth. But it was something like that. He says, I don't see how it doesn't go down 90% or something like that. And he was just talking about the tokenomics of it with, the airdrops for multiple years. And I think that's a fair critique, and maybe that does happen. I totally acknowledge that. But I was looking at how much Flare I expect to hold as a result of these Flare drops, and there's a total of 36 of them. We've had one out of the 36, so 35 more to go. Even if Flare drops 90% in price, okay, maybe it happens. Based on how much Flare I'm anticipating holding at the end of all those months, I would be at about break even. If what I'm expecting to get distributed is distributed, even with a 90% price drop from here, and we're just starting to get out of a bear market, so I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, wait a minute. We're getting out of the bear market, so shouldn't demand increase? Wouldn't that make it much more difficult to have a 90% drop? So that's one factor. So even if price does go down from here, and it's too early to know because there's not enough data on this. There just isn't, which is why, again, this is a very risky move that I made. But, so, okay, even if it goes down a little bit, eventually the drops stop. These drops are going to stop because they're programmed, and then that's just it. And then you don't have this, and then the supply inflation is going to be, I think something like 4 or 5%, which is equivalent to how much I think somebody stated. I didn't double check the math, but somebody said, yeah, it's probably in line, or pretty well is in line with, the amount of XRP that gets out of Ripple's hands and then enters what is considered to be circulation. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. But if you're anticipating the amount of people in crypto to go through the roof, it's like, But then on top of that, here's another thing that I don't think enough people are considering. In order to get your Flare drops, you have to hold the Flare token. You have to wrap it and you have to delegate it. So you have to want to have the exposure or else you don't get that. And then even if you do it for a month, if you decide to just get out and you want to sell everything, you can do that. And then you're just out. And then who'd you sell it to? You sold it to somebody who is probably more likely to be someone of my mindset who'd probably be thinking more so, long term. Because for me, I have no intentions of selling any of it anytime soon. I just kind of want to see what happens here. So I admit it's possible we could get a drop in price once we have the second Flare drop. There's just not enough history. But what was interesting is with the first Flare drop, the price went down, like a few days or so before the Flare drop. So people were anticipating a price drop after, resulted in them pushing the price down sooner. Days before the Flare drop, the price went down because people thought that there would have been a price drop. Then when the flare drop happened, the price didn't go down. In fact, the price went up. Went up something like, I don't know. It got as low as 2.4 cents, and then shortly after that, ended up going up to 4 cents. Now it's around 3.4 cents. So it's volatile like crazy, just like any crypto, really. But I'm just saying, the people that are in that ecosystem, in a general sense, they're there because they want to be. And if they're going to get that flare, then they can't be selling it. Because if they are selling it, then they're not going to keep getting that flare. It's done. It's a requirement to hold it. It's not as though all of this flare is getting dropped to XRP holders for 36 months, many of which don't care about this and then would just sell. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I was just happy to see that my fellow XRP holders who were counting on getting their flare from Coinbase, looks like they've already gotten it or they're about to get it if the distribution's still ongoing here. And then to see that market open up and it's going to be on Coinbase, I mean, I can't even, that's why I'm saying, like, I can't imagine trading not to proceed on Coinbase, given that it's already in the top 100 cryptos by market cap, even without Coinbase. They have much smaller cap coins, on Coinbase. So the idea that that there wouldn't end up being liquidity at some point in the future, I'm thinking it's probably going to happen. So we'll see what happens. But I'm optimistic for the future. But just, man, this is the only crypto, because mind you, I've been in crypto over 5 years. This is the only cryptocurrency, the Flare token, that I've been in from day one. I cannot say that about any other coin. And I normally wouldn't want to be. This one's a kind of a unique position for a number of reasons. Not the least of which is because it caught my attention because it was, there was that initial airdrop. And now we get all these flare drops, if we participate. But also look at all the initial support, including from all sorts of, respected entities in the world of crypto, including Ripple. And some of the higher ups at Ripple have said positive things about Flare during its development. So we'll see here. Just some thoughts, just some random thoughts here. All that to say, I'm very optimistic and happy for the future of crypto. And like I said a little bit earlier in the video, we'll find out together what happens here. But I'm still most excited for XRP. That's my largest crypto holding. That's what I'm most excited about. I've been thinking about Flare a lot lately. And honestly, if there's not a massive drop in price after the second Flare drop, there's a really good chance I'm going to make another very large purchase. I just want to see how humans behave. There's just not enough data now to know. Is it the case that Flare's going to, because of all the allegedly terrible token options, is that really going to push the price in together? Or is it the case that the people that are getting the Flare don't want to sell it because they're the ones that are long it, and maybe we don't see that price up. So I want to find out. I want to be a little bit more confident. But if it ends up being the case that people aren't just going to dramatically sell, I'd be much more likely to throw down some more of my hard-earned United States dollars. But if I do that, I'll be happy to talk about it. I don't know for sure if it's going to happen, but if the tokenomics are not as terrible as some people think that they are, then yeah, I probably will. Because it's so damn early, and then when we get alt season one day, my God. So that's why I love to have broad exposure. I hold about 30 different cryptocurrencies. That's why I want broad exposure, even though I'm most interested in cryptos that have proven actual utility. That's where most of my money actually goes. But I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because if anything I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.